I think we're going to disagree about number two still, me and you.
Sorry, Harp. Who do you have at 2 then? Case, who do you have at 2?
2, I'm trying to help you out here because I know you like a little clickbait. The second one will shock you.
Yeah, I know who you're going to say.
This was my audible, my last second audible I said, and I put Nashville at number 2.
I knew it.
Man, I love that team. The more I stared at the screen, the more I looked at their depth chart, the more I was like, why do I like this team so much? So I don't know if you want me to go ahead and start talking about Nashville, or if you want to say your number 2. I can do it here. It's up to you.
Well, okay. Maybe we'll do this. How about Harper? Tell us who you have at the 3 spot then, to see if it makes sense here.
So I have Nashville in the 3rd spot. I'm with Case. I think they had a nice little offseason, adding some key pieces. They added Nino Niederreiter really late, and then added Ryan McDonough for next to nothing to an already ridiculous back end. They've got UC Saros, who could go out and win the Vezina Trophy this upcoming season. Pekka Rinne, who just got hired by the organization, by the way. He said that Saros is the backbone of this team, and I truly believe that they don't win if he's not in net. And the only question that I have with this team is if Johansson and Duchesne can keep producing and keep living up to those contracts. Not expecting Duchesne to go out and score 40 goals like he did last year. I'm not so much concerned with him. It's more with Johansson, in my opinion, just production-wise. But I like this forward group. Another year for Tanner Jeannot, another year for Tomasino and Tolvanen and some of these guys. I like the Predators, man. And those 2 key ads, again, I'll go back to that. Niederreiter up front. He fits in really well with that forward group, I think. And then adding McDonough to a back end that already has Yossi, Ekholm, Fabro, Carrier. It's ridiculous. So I've got Nashville at 3, but I'm willing to move them up to 2 because I really like what they've done.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That backbone comment. I say in these rankings, I don't like putting too much weight in goaltending anymore because it's absolute voodoo. But where I do like putting weight on it is when they have a superstar goaltender that I can absolutely lock in, and that's Saros. So I feel really good about him. And then when you have one of the best decors playing in front of him, like I absolutely love this McDonough ad. And he's not the guy he used to be. We know that. We recognize that. But playing him with an Ekholm or a Fabro, like that's a great pairing. And then whatever one you don't pick is going to play with Yossi. Thank you very much. Lazone and Carrier, like that 3rd pairing. So I really like all defensive aspects of this team, including a very hard to play against 3rd line in Trennan and Genois and Sissons. Like that's fantastic. I loved watching Trennan last year. That guy was ruthless, just flying into corners, and like I feel like he was bloody every time I watched the Nashville Predators play. He's just a wrecking ball. So that's a lot of fun. And then the top 6. Duchesne and Johansson, even if they take a little step back, I still think this is a good top 6 to compete in this division, especially with Yossi freaking dishing pucks to these guys. Really like this team. We got Philip Forsberg into full form here. He's loving life. Great contract now. There's a lot to like about this team, and I think that they're the second best team in this division after staring at this depth chart for a while.
Okay, so you guys have Nashville at 2, Case, and you have them at 3, Harp. I have Nashville in the 4th spot, and like
I know you do.
We kind of, we talked about how between 2 and 4 it's kind of a toss up. So let me say what I have on Nashville, and then we can finalize the 1 through 4 rankings and mention the other team that we haven't yet that I would assume we all have as our 4th of the top 4, and that's Minnesota. I'm just going out on a limb here. If it's different, we can talk about it, but I'm just going out on a limb here. So Nashville, I do really like the team, and I originally had them in 3rd spot, but then I bumped up St. Louis, and I already mentioned that I thought Minnesota was going to take a step back in last episode, actually, when I was arguing that Kirill Kaprizov could win the Hart Trophy. But like, I just look at these three teams and I think they're all so close, but this is the ranking that I decided on. So, and this is my rationale for Nashville being in the 4th spot as opposed to 2nd or 3rd. I think they just have too many candidates for regression. I think you look at that full first line, you look at Forsberg, Duchesne, and Johansson. They all had incredible seasons last year, but who knows if that continues? Like, we haven't seen Duchesne or Johansson be that good in a long time. Like, we knew it was there, especially with Duchesne, but we haven't seen him put it all together in a while until last season. And I just don't know if that's sustainable. I'd have to look at the underlying numbers for that to get a clearer picture of it. But those three guys up front, for sure, for me, are prime regression candidates. And then on the back end, Roman Josi almost had 100 points last season. And I know he's extremely good and has been for a while, but almost 100 points for a guy last season, even if it is Josi, kind of surprised a lot of people. The fact that he was outscoring defensemen like Makar and Hedman and John Carlson and other guys like that, it was a bit shocking. I know he's really good, but to me, I don't think he sniffs even, in and around 100 points this year, because I just think, if you look at his career, this is the first time he's been absolutely unbelievable number one scoring defenseman by a long shot in the NHL. So that's another candidate. And then in net, like, you guys know how much I love UC Saros. I think he had an incredible year last year, and he's been really good, like within the top 5 to 10 goalies in terms of my favorite stat, goals saved above expected, for the last 3 or 4 years. But the problem is, and Harp, you said this, verbatim, if he's not in the net, they don't win. So I think that's a problem right there. Even though I don't mind, their new backup situation, you've got Kevin Lankinen in, and then you've got Big Save Dave Riddick out, and Connor Ingram, as a third still, and that's okay. I think their backup position actually got better, but I just don't think that you can rely on UC Saros to be an absolute game breaker again, because even if he takes a slight step back and he is closer towards average but still above average, I don't think they win as many games as they do last year, and I don't think they come out of this division with almost 100 points like they had last year. So that's my argument. I'm willing to move them up because I still really love this team's depth, and they could prove me wrong this year. A lot of things could go right for the team. They could finish second in the division. And I'm willing to put them there if you guys, truly think that. But that's just my spiel on Nashville at number 4.
The thing with regression, and when we're talking about these players in particular, is I think that the only thing that's going to happen here is they're going to get brought back to the mean. Yeah. And these guys have all been very good in the past and had a couple bad seasons. We're not talking about, when you brought up progression in the past, you bring up maybe like Verhaeghe is the first one that comes to my mind. He came out of nowhere, had some unbelievable seasons. Regression is expected. With these guys, they've been good. Duchesne's been a superstar. Johansson's been a very solid first line center. Forsberg has the skill. I'm not going to say there's a huge history of Forsberg. He's always been good. He hasn't been great. He's been good. But where I see regression happening with these guys is it just brings them back a little bit to the mean where these guys should be. And Duchesne should be better than the last couple years before last year. Johansson should be better than he was the last 2 years before last year. So I think, it's in Johansson or Josi. He's always been a superstar. So yeah, 100 points, probably not attainable again, but it's just going to bring him back a baby step. So I'm really not worried about regression as much as you might be. And UC Saros, frig, I'll play him 68 games. We'll have a good chance at winning 68 games.
Yeah. Yeah, and fair enough. Like I did say, I really love this team. I love their depth. I don't even think we've mentioned a guy like Cody Glass in their bottom 6, but he'll be there. He'll be doing some work there in the bottom 6, and then guys like Tomasino and whatever, they've got a ton of players. And Janot came on the scene last year and had an incredible year after being...
Janot was good. That's a fantasy player for you, too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, in a banger league like ours, he's a fantasy player that you need because he makes something happen.
Shoots, he hits, he scores.
Yeah. But again, that's another guy who knows what he's going to do this year. I compare a guy like Jeannot to a guy like Michael Bunting, but in less favorable circumstances, because they're both a bit older. They kind of came out of nowhere, had like 60 points, and who knows what they're going to do this year. The difference is Bunting is going to play with the second best player on the planet, and Jeannot is going to play on the third line Nashville Predators. So I don't know. I think that a lot of players are probably going to regress. I just don't know if it's going to be so much that they're going to be worse than what they were last year. Does that make sense? I think they're still going to be pretty good, and they're going to be a playoff team, and I'm excited to watch them. I'm hesitant to put them above third or fourth, but I'm willing to move them for the sake of argument here.